You don't know what this is?
Oh, that's heart.
Yeah.
Korean.
We'll teach you.
Okay, what, like that?
And then they also do this. Welcome to Quibble, episode 2. I'm Max, and I'm joined by Mr. Shreve and Nikki. Today, what are we going to be talking about, guys?
Joker 2. Folie.
Why so serious?
You guys know what Folie means?
I woke up and Googled it.
I did know what it means. I did know what it means as I was watching in the theater, but my brain has forgotten since then.
Okay.
Well, I just looked it up.
Give it to him.
Okay. Delusion or mental illness shared by two people in close association.
This podcast is a bit of a Folie trois. Okay.
Moving on.
All right. So, Joker Folie written by Scott Silver and Todd Phillips, directed by Todd Phillips, starring Joaquin Phoenix, Lady Gaga, and Brendan Gleeson. I wanted to start off with asking you guys what your experience with Joker was like. Did you like the Joker, the first one?
I loved the first Joker movie, especially since it was not the standard origin story that we're used to seeing from the Joker. He didn't fall into a vat of acid and, become crazy. He was just a guy who was down on his luck who seemed to kind of become a martyr onto himself. And then,
whether that was by choice or by random act.
Yeah.
I definitely liked the first Joker. I thought that the fallout from it was very interesting, where there was such a polarizing group of people being like, this is the best movie ever made, and then a group of people who are like, if you think this is the best movie ever made, you're a piece of shit. I just thought it was a very interesting cultural moment, but I did enjoy it. It was it was your classic white guy goes insane movie, so I'm always for that. What about you?
I liked it. It's a little more gritty than stuff I'm normally drawn to. But I do like to see a story about mental illness and the effects that trauma has on people. And same thing, the kind of reaction to it. I didn't know if it was film bros kind of gravitating towards this different DC thing, or if it was is it Marvel or DC?
Yeah, it's DC.
It's DC.
She's gonna catch hate.
So sorry. Or if it was people who needed a hero that was like themselves. So yeah, I liked it. It wasn't my I didn't fawn over it like I did with The Dark Knight.
Yeah, it's not really a movie you're supposed to fawn over in a way that you're like, oh, I watched the Joker once a week. Yeah. It's more of a fawn over its filmmaking, its acting, the message behind it. So let's just do a little comparison with a little bit of trivia. No peeking. Shreve might already know these answers, so we're gonna go with your opinion here. Joker opening weekend, the original one, it had a $96 million opening weekend in the U.S. It also had a $55 million budget. So it was an instant hit. What do you think the budget for Joker 2 is?
Probably double that. It was, what, you said 90 million?
Not 55 million
was
for
the first
budget, yeah.
Yeah, I would say at least 150 million.
200 million. The opening weekend for Joker 1, 96 million. What do you think the opening weekend for Folie is?
So I tried to scur away from spoilers as much as possible, any TikToks or anything, but I did hear this had a terrible opening weekend, which I thought was very bizarre because the trailer was so good in my opinion. I'm gonna say 90?
37.
Oh!
Yep.
Whoa.
Certified flop.
Whoa.
Some notable movies that have a higher opening weekend. The Marvels. Did anyone see? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, of course.
No.
Sorry, didn't see it. Black Adam.
Saw it.
And Morbius.
Saw it.
So these are...
I actually go and see movies, guys, in the theater. So
these are kind of well-known terrible comic book movies. And Joker, which was like an Oscar-winning, pretty like everyone kind of agreed this was a good movie.
That this wasn't a comic book movie; it was a real movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a flop, the sequel,
Why
which
do you
is
guys
just
think
very
that is
surprising.
for opening weekend specifically? Like
What
I
do you
said,
think?
like the trailer I thought was really good.
I thought it was a
Do
great
you think
trailer.
it was like previewers, like people who got to see it early, giving their opinions?
Because I knew opening night when I went that the general consensus was this was kind of a flop. Like people were not happy about this movie, so I did know that, which didn't make me hesitate from going to see it. I was like, oh, I'm going to be the one who shows up and likes it. What do you think is the reason?
I think comic book movies as a whole are just sort of hit or miss nowadays, whether it be fortunately or unfortunately.
On the decline, for sure.
Yeah, and especially with it still being R-rated and the fact that it was openly declared a musical, I think musicals do kind of turn a lot of people.
I wouldn't say openly declared, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I knew it was a musical at all.
That's I guess just because I just did
You're
like
on the forums.
yeah, I'm down the forums
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
I'm searching Joker 2 every weekend before it was. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, I think the musical is probably the biggest reason. I just don't think once people heard, oh, they're making a sequel to Joker, it's like, oh, I'm there.
Yeah.
And it's a musical. I don't know. So let's just start with like a general overview of the movie. It picks up 2 years after the events of the first film. Arthur Fleck is in Arkham Asylum, and he is basically getting ready to be on trial for an insanity plea, basically. We'll just leave it at that. The musical elements start 30 minutes into the film. After the first song, I was like, I kind of like this. The song where he's singing to his fellow jailmates, I was like, I can get with this.
That gave me a little cringe.
Okay,
I have to be honest.
That's fair. And then it is revealed that what it plays as is Joker singing to his group of jailmates, and they're all kind of like joining in. Everyone's having a good time, and then it cuts to they're just all watching TV, so it's all in his head. There are a lot of parts in this movie that you don't know if it happened or not. So from there, he is accepted into the B ward, where he meets Lee Quinzel. They meet because they're at like a musical club at the jail.
Yeah, kind of a reformative program within the jail.
And he's allowed to do so because he kind of has a friendly-ish relationship with the wards, some of the wards. Brendan Gleeson's character in particular. Where did Kyle and I are more on the side of like, this movie does not work. Was there any point where you were like, this movie does not work?
Yes. So I think the singing was obviously distracting. First of all, okay, so most musicals are original songs, right?
Yes.
This was not. This was songs where I guess the characters are using songs that weren't their own words to kind of express their own feelings, which I think does work, but it's a tool that if it's oversaturated or overused, kind of just becomes you're kind of like
washing
again.
over you.
Okay, so now I'm like the romanticism of it all, the La La Land type of thing, where it's really well spaced.
Yeah,
you lose that, and you're just like, I kept saying to myself, saying out loud, what the fuck again, and I think it was used. It could have been used in a really good way, like you said. The first one, this is to himself he's singing, and he doesn't. So he's retreating during like a moment where someone's asking him a hard question of like, how do you feel? They're gonna kill. They're gonna hang you, or they're gonna execute you. So I think that could have been interesting. But then you add like Lady Gaga in there singing alone, and I'm like, kind of like, so why is she singing? If they used it solely for the purpose of like, but if they used it solely for the purpose of when he's put into a difficult situation, instead of retreating to be a different person, aka the Joker, he goes into this kind of like sing song. This is
Yeah.
how I self soothe. That would have worked.
Yeah,
It didn't work for me.
It
the way they
felt
used it.
like it was maybe three. It didn't feel like one cohesive movie. It
Mhm.
felt like, okay, we definitely want to do a musical. We want to do a courtroom drama,
Yeah.
and we also want to do another pushing the story of the first Joker further, in that Arthur Fleck is a loner, outcast by society, used, and what happens to a person who is constantly broken down in that way. I just don't think it might have been too many ideas for a sequel, as well as the romantic story with Harley Quinn, which I don't even know. When that started, they see each other in B Ward and immediately fall in love. And I was very confused as to why. It is revealed. Okay, spoiler warning. We're going to be spoiling this whole movie. It's almost impossible to talk about without spoiling.
I agree. Yeah.
It is revealed that she is not only. She is basically at the B Ward literally to run into Arthur Fleck.
She's a fan.
She's a fangirl.
She's mentally ill in her own way, but
Mhm.
she's essentially just a fan.
Absolutely. So that explains why she is already in love with him. And this is probably the first person Arthur Fleck has ran into that is A, gorgeous, and B, into him. Do you guys find it weird how beautiful Lady Gaga was in that mental asylum?
I will say the lip filler was a little distracting. Like,
Mhm.
every now and then I was like, okay.
I was like,
she is a 2024.
yeah, like, I
product.
can't. This sounds fucked up, but it's hard to see someone that beautiful in surrounded
worked.
by like a bunch of vegetables. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix he's an alright looking guy.
But again, once you realize she checked herself in,
yeah, it
it's
all
like,
it does
makes
all
sense.
make sense. They attempt one night in their loving comeuppance to break out of this jail. Doesn't work.
Another thing is interesting. Arthur says at one point, I think in the interview section, he said we weren't trying to break out.
Yeah.
Which I think he was really just going along with this like love story. He was in love. He was like trying to be a real person for a moment and have fun with this girl that he likes. So I don't think he ever intended to break out.
Yeah. It's like you said with La La Land. The La La Land, I know we're going to be comparing it to it all night. The musical numbers in La La Land are not only well spaced out, but also very well connected to the story. When they break into song and dance, it doesn't feel too out of pocket.
No.
With Joker, it does. And that's a product of the fact that the first one was not a musical.
And I think like every time they started singing, sure they were expressing their feelings, but I didn't even like register what they were saying. I was just like,
the songs are not very. They're like crooning, like kind of slower 60s, 50s, 70s songs. There's not really an opportunity for Lady Gaga to use her voice in a very intriguing way, which I think would have made a lot of difference if they committed to a musical in which Lady Gaga can fucking belt some songs. She's an amazing singer.
Yeah, she kind of was doing this like raspy acapella thing the whole time.
And was that more so? The reason I felt like she was doing that is because I felt like she wanted to be in this movie and not be Lady Gaga. So like maybe it was a creative choice where she would not, really sing.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like off topic, but sort of like when Taylor Swift voiced the love interest in the Lorax movie, she never sang, even in the big musical number at the end. And maybe because it was like she just wanted to play the role instead of being like, oh, that's
much like
Lady Gaga,
Joker himself in this movie, who doesn't want to give everyone what they're expecting of him. He's kind of resisting against that.
And then once he does, he regrets it.
Yeah.
Because even when she does sing, I felt like she was trying to sing more poorly on purpose.
Yeah.
Because
She
she
was
wants
like,
to
"You
just
know I'm
portray
Gaga."
this random person. Yeah. So she was like, I can't sing like the beautiful angelic voice that she already has,
But
regardless.
I mean, that's the thing. This movie is not made to please us. Like, you have Joaquin Phoenix, who I don't know if he's a good singer. You have Lady Gaga not using her voice to her full capacity. It's like every part of this movie is a setup for like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck you. Like, it's like a lot of setting us up to almost be angry. I've never seen a film that is so determined on like truly upsetting its audience. There's
I think it's one of those like one of those films where it's like if it's not for you, it doesn't really matter because it's for me, like the director and writer specifically. Like I think going out of the film, I could see what he was trying to do. And
yes,
I don't agree with some of the things that he did, but I did get the message at the end and I liked it. So, which is why I keep going back and being like, okay, separate from the music, I do like this movie. And I liked the message.
So I don't actually. So if we since if we want to start getting into the critique portion, or
Yes.
do you want to keep
no, let's keep
following the plot? Or-
Okay, quickly to wrap up the plot. After they attempt to break out of jail, this love is spurring. Arthur Fleck goes on trial. It is the first televised trial. Oh my god, y'all. This is the part of the movie that I was really, really boring. It got so pacing hit a halt. It was very boring to me. It is trying to be a courtroom drama at parts. It does have some heart in those areas. Skipping forward, I don't even know how to talk about this movie. Like, let's just get into the critique, y'all, please.
Okay. I mean, who wants to start? I mean, should we start with pros or cons?
Okay,
First.
pros.
Pros, I really did like the cinematography in the musical shots. Rather, I didn't like the singing in the musical shots. The
Production design.
The set
and the musical
design
shots.
was you saw where the budget went to. The set
Yeah.
design was great. I'm trying to see what other pros that I had.
Some good acting, I would
Did
say.
you like-
Joaquin for
Lady
what he
Gaga's
was
acting?
given.
Lady Gaga.
I thought Lady Gaga, it felt like Lady Gaga trying to act in this movie. And I guess that's unfair to like look at her in that lens.
It's
but,
always hard with these people who are famous for
Yeah.
one thing and then switch it to the other.
Well,
like, I thought Joaquin killed it still. And I thought he was the best actor in the whole movie. Gleason killed it. I thought
Always.
the guard.
Yeah. Gleason was great.
Gleason's great and everything, but I think Gaga is running into the same issue that Harry Styles ran into. He was fine. in
Our
every-
lives!
But they're not bad. I didn't think she did bad whatsoever. I was bored of her singing because I don't
Yes.
want to see if she's, if I'm Lady Gaga and I want to be an actor, I'm not being in a musical.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'll do A Star Is Born.
It
But
is
maybe not
interesting
another
that she
time.
even signed on to this. I'm confused.
I think if you're so intrigued by the story and the people involved, you're probably gonna.
But this is not.
And I know we'll never know, but I wonder if, because Lady Gaga signed on, I wonder if it was legitimately a different actress who would have played if it would have still been a musical.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, at its core.
I thought Gaga was fine. I didn't think Todd really gave her anything to work with. She kind of
Yeah.
disappears in the last act of the film,
I think
except
she's
for a few
supposed to.
scenes.
I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the point.
I thought she was fine.
Yeah.
The other pros.
Great movie about mental health and sort of the idea of mental institutions.
The
as a
other
whole.
pros. How did he get this approved by Warner Brothers? This is one of those movies that is like, I'm glad it exists because it shows that people can still make a crazy out there idea that is not for the general public.
There was a reason. They also didn't do any test screenings for
Yes.
this movie, which is rare, not only for a Warner Bros. Thing, but they started that whole DC Black label thing after the first Joker came out, where they're going to have more R-rated stuff, and then obviously once James Gunn took over, that kind of like went by the wayside. But yeah, I think Joker 2, I think they didn't do any test screenings on purpose because I think they knew the reviews were going to be bad, and they were like, how do we kind of salvage this as much as possible?
They also didn't let the advertising team see the entire movie. They gave them clips that they could use for the trailers, but they didn't let them see the movie.
Yes, and some of
That
the
makes
clips
sense.
in the trailer, I was so mad were not in the
Yeah.
movie. When they're on the court,
Oh,
like house stairs, and they're supposed to
Yes.
be dancing, that was just never in the movie at
Yeah.
all. And it's like, why would you show that? And there were even hints when people saw that clip that she was actually pregnant because she
Yes,
looked a little
yes.
bigger, like in the thing. So, and maybe that was I don't know.
They do
Well,
that quite often, and I kept waiting for this story to go outside of the court. I was like,
Gosh,
I was like,
please
okay,
get me
so-
out of this
So I
court.
remember
Oh my
the
god.
And then the-
trailer.
Yeah.
So where is all of
Yeah.
the trailer content? And then it was so like in their delusion, like their delusion showed all of that extra content, and I was like, okay, trailers are
So
something.
yeah, the trailer, although great,
yeah,
I think it kind of set me up to be pissed.
yeah.
What were the cons? Nikki, we'll start with you.
The frequency of the singing, absolutely. I thought that there was a lot of slowness in the beginning, and although we didn't have the singing, I kind of was like, when is the story going to get going? It was a lot of slow motion and long shots, and Joaquin.
yeah, like I saw what they were trying to do at the beginning when it's playing, That's Life in the background, and he's just going through his daily thing. I'm like, okay, I kind of see it. And then, like, they went through the whole song, and I'm like, okay, I get it. He's in a mental institution. Like,
Is that
I
where
know
he's
what's going on.
carrying his
Yeah,
like,
he's like-
bucket?
Piss
Yeah.
bucket.
I thought that was a great opening. I was like,
so did I.
Todd
And then
Phillips is doing it.
it went on a little too long.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right.
Mhm.
But yeah.
The cons for me, I thought that, like you said, the songs went on for too long. I just didn't think the story was all that intriguing. I do think it's an intriguing story. Having him go on trial, especially with the fact that in the last film he was a symbol for Gotham for this uprising, but they kind of leave that to the wayside. Like, we know that there's a lot of people in Gotham that are fans of the Joker, but we don't really know what the effect of that uprising kind of had on Gotham.
I think that's a separate movie, though. I think this was
Yeah.
really working towards, like, how did this affect Arthur, and what does that mean for him? I think another con I had was he just didn't say enough. Like, in his closing statement,
Yeah.
I was like, I need him to say, like, I'm not Joker, I wish I
Mhm.
could be, but I'm just this, like, and he kind of does say that, but he could have said so much more that would have hit, and he kind of is just like, that's all I got. And I was
Well,
like,
I mean,
say
he
more, like,
is,
tell
like-
us more.
He is a mentally unstable person who has never really been able to have a voice.
Bring me back to the first one. Did
Okay.
he have that southern accent?
No.
And
No.
so what's he doing? Is that like a mimic
Joker
of a
bit.
but is that like a mimic of a different movie that I don't know of?
I just
Because
thought
that
it was
went on
like
for too
Foghorn.
long. He kind of went in and out of it, and every time he
Yeah.
went out, I was like, okay, he's done. And then he went back.
And I was like, is this supposed to be funny to me?
Right.
Also, if you've ever seen behind the clips footage of the first Joker, Joaquin is just kind of like every take doing something new. So I assume maybe that was part of it as well. But I found the courtroom stuff in particular to be absolutely boring.
I didn't find it overly boring. I thought that, especially with Puddles, that really
That was
that one hurt. Like him saying, like,
Mhm.
do you know how that feels? You used to be the only one who didn't make fun of me, and like
I
now
think
you
that
scare me. I think that really did something to Arthur, where he was like, okay, this really isn't me. What am I doing?
Okay, I agree with you. Puddles was the heart that almost got me in.
Mm.
But I think there were some other things that led him to.
But honestly, by that point in the movie, I was kind of out on the
Mhm.
movie as
Yep.
a whole. I
Yep.
guess I would have to rewatch it again, knowing everything that happened to kind of see like what the creative decisions.
do you
why
guys
the critics
want to
decisions were-
rewatch this movie?
Yeah.
Eventually,
I went
yeah,
out of it thinking like I should have seen this earlier so I can rewatch it.
I don't think I usually watch these movies that we do twice. I don't think I would ever watch this movie again. It is
I
just
definitely will.
I wouldn't pay to watch it again.
it's
is what I'll
not
say.
that I don't think it's a
Half
bad
Price Day,
movie
I
like
might
we
be there.
talk I don't think it's all bad. I do think it's a bad movie, but I think that it is just generally a tough watch.
Yeah.
It
the
is
music
a
makes
tough
it a real tough
watch.
watch.
And also, if you're going to put Harvey Dent in the movie,
Mhm.
it's got to be Harvey Dent. That was my least favorite portrayal of anything,
too.
because he was obviously Harvey Dent's like really cocky and stuff, but like it came off as like I'm trying to be Harvey Dent. Like Aaron Eckhart in The Dark Knight was just
a good guy.
Yeah, was just a good guy. I'm Harvey Dent. Yada yada. This
good
guy was
with
like
an angry side.
This guy seemed like, oh, this is going to be my ticket to like become the district attorney, getting Arthur Fleck like in prison, and
this was his, he was
and
like
he just like was just like too cool, like I don't know, like having his suit like his hands in his pockets as he's questioning like
at the end, when it all gets blown up, does he get?
He does.
He does. Right?
He becomes
Max.
Instead of Two-Face, he becomes like Scratch Face.
So Max said that he had half his face blown off. I didn't see that.
Not blown off. It was like
it was charred.
It was like it was not Two-Face. Like I don't. If he decides after this movie, I'm going to become a villain of Gotham and I'll be Two-Face, people will be like, "Why the hell are you calling yourself Two-Face? Because you've just got like a scar or two on one side." Yeah, that was a bit of a heavy-handed Easter egg that really had no payoff except, ooh, he became Two-Face.
I think that's kind of cool though, because this movie is so separated from like who the Joker is and like the vat of acid and all that it's kind of like, that's that.
We're in Gotham.
I don't need to see Harvey Dent become Two-Face. It's just that's like a little fan thing.
Yeah. So in the courthouse, Arthur Fleck goes through this. He's basically being pulled by two sides, by his own attorney to plead that his personality was split down the middle, and that Joker is a separate personality from Arthur Fleck, and he wants to move forward in a positive sense, and by Harley Quinn, who is obsessed with the Joker aspect of Arthur Fleck. So she is wanting to get more Joker. Give me more Joker. I like the freak in you. Match my freak. Nothing. No laugh.
A smile. A smirk. I think from both of us.
This is Match My Freak movie. And Joker, he wants to be Joker, or Arthur Fleck wants to be Joker, really just to receive the admiration of like his fans and Harley Quinn. But as you said, Puddles comes in, kind of creates this change of heart. And then he goes home from court one day and he has, badmouthed some of the guards on national television. And they literally take him, beat the shit out of him, and then it is implied that he is sexually assaulted by these guards. What the fuck? This is where...
It would have been okay if there was any indication that they were even like that to any of the... Because it really did seem like they just kind of were going through their job and they didn't mind being guards of the inmates. They were just going to clock in and clock out. It didn't seem like they were really abusive at all. Which
there was
again,
one time where Gleason's character smacks Joker in the back of the head pretty roughly.
But
yes,
also playfully, I think. So
here, let's recreate it and tell me if this is playful.
And it was, but what I found between Gleason and Joker was he was maybe his only like real friend who saw Arthur for who he was, and like, yeah, he razzed on him, but it seemed like he actually enjoyed Arthur's presence around.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he helped him, he got him into the group, and he, brought him here. And
but he also kind of got into the group for his own reasons. He did want to...
absolutely. But I think that when he heard what he said, he was like, I've been trying to be nice to you, and now I hear Joker talking shit. So now, like, okay, fuck you, and then he kind of flips his tune. And I think Arthur sees that being like this one person who kind of had my back a little bit in some weird, twisted sense. Like, I kind of turned on him, and I think that did contribute to the fact that, like, the next time when he goes to court with the Joker makeup, he's like, what am I doing here? This is not me. I found their relationship to be slightly touching.
So...
What?
Yeah.
Between Joker and Brendan Gleeson?
Yeah.
You found the man who sexually assaulted...
No, before that.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. I know what she's saying.
I agree with that, but I'm trying to talk about the fact that they have included a scene that basically implies Joker was sexually assaulted, witnessed a murder of one of his friends in a jail cell, goes back to court the next day, and is completely broken, completely lost. Like, he is no longer, not even an ounce of Joker is left in him after that. And I just think that is, yeah, it creates a message. It sends this message of like how society treats people who keep getting kicked down. But it is just such a tough watch. It's not, it's just a little too on the nose. And frankly, it just feels like they're doing it just to do it. There's no other point to do it than to create this shock factor. Shock factor it was a miss for me.
Let's go with kind of our biggest critiques of like the movie as a whole. So I have two. So the fact that I honestly think no matter what you say, like you said about the message or whatever, I get it. It completely invalidates the entire first movie for me,
Yes.
which is what I don't like.
Well,
so the ending of the first Joker, of him when he, does the smile on himself and he starts dancing, you become Joker. The fact that that was invalidated in the second movie, I don't think that, yes, besides of like, regardless of like what he went through and everything, I don't think that all of a sudden that persona just like went away. Mm-hmm. Especially when he was like, Murray, can you introduce me as Joker? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that was a whole focal point of the entire movie. And the fact that I really just think all of that was sort of invalidated, like from jump. Second, I hated the ending of the movie. Absolutely hated it. So there was
Take us through the ending.
So the ending, obviously, the ending kind of climax starts, I think, when the courthouse gets blown up, right? So it gets blown up, by the way, out of nowhere. Did not see that coming at all. It gets blown up. He's trying to like escape or whatever. Some guys grab him and put him into his car, and then he's riding through. He's trying to dodge the police or whatever. He gets out and just starts running away from them. And he goes to like the steps of his old apartment and he sees Lee there. And he's like, I escaped, like we can be together or whatever. And she was like, you're not the Joker, like you admitted it or whatever. And
you
like,
broke the fantasy.
Like you broke the fantasy, like I'm out.
We didn't build a mountain.
Yeah, we didn't build a mountain.
She must have said that. I was like,
what the fuck is this mountain? What's a mountain?
Yeah.
That's a big comment.
Honestly. And I read that there was a deleted scene where when he does that, Lee kills him there, and then she does the dance on the steps or whatever and kind of becomes Joker. That would have already been a better ending to the movie than like what we already received. So let me continue on with the actual ending.
I thought that
she walks away. Yeah. She walks away. He gets arrested again. He goes back to Arkham, and as he's there, the guy that they keep showing in the background subtly throughout the entire movie.
Yes.
Again, another part I don't like, the guard's like, okay, let's go this way. And he goes, and then all of a sudden the guy stops him. And the guard just keeps on walking. It's like, you didn't notice for 5 minutes that he just wasn't there.
Yeah.
The guy ends up stabbing him. Arthur is bleeding out, dies. And then you see in the background, he's putting the Joker smile on himself. So,
which
now
again,
that's the ending.
I do like the fact that it's like, Arthur Fleck is not the Joker.
Yes.
The Joker is this insanity that can kind of hop from person to person, but I would have liked it better if it ended with Harley Quinn instead of this rando that's been.
Honestly, the way I thought the movie was going to end is that he was going to run to the apartment, he was going to walk in, and I legit thought he was going to see Lee like shot herself dead, and I thought he was going to kill himself, and I was been like, oh, that would have been such a redeeming quality to the end. As dark as it sounds, I think that would have been redeeming for like the entire movie as a whole, but. Again, it just completely invalidates the first movie because Joker in the first one was never stated that it's this force that jumps from like one person to the other.
That was a bad explanation on my part.
But he became the Joker, I think, after he killed the guy in his apartment with the scissors and he let the guy leave. I'm like, that is quintessential like Joker. Like he was nice to him, so he let him leave, and he's just so crazy and everything. I just think the entire second movie invalidating the first movie, it was like, then why even have really the first movie at all? Sure, if you don't want him to become a symbol, that's fine. And Joker, throughout the comics, he's not like a symbol for Gotham, but he's still the Joker. You could have played with that more, rather than just being like, oh, he was never the Joker, like, ever. So,
First of all, I really liked the ending. And I think that the jump from 1 to 2 does make sense. We talked about it before the pod started about, I don't think he has the split personality. I think he more has this like depression, bipolar, manic type of situation going on where he gets these bursts of, this is who I want to be, this is how I want to be dealt with, and how I'm going to deal with the people who kind of don't see me ever. So I thought that did kind of work in the second one, where he starts out being Arthur Fleck, and then as he gets this like confidence from Harley Quinn, he kind of keeps peaking and falling and peaking and falling. I think that would have been a good ending with Harley on the. That would have been a good setup for a next one, but I found it really satisfying that Arthur, first of all, got some peace at the end and died, but also that it sets up this thing of like a true psychopath is Joker.
Yeah, like that wasn't joke.
And it's just
the expectations put on Arthur Fleck, he could not handle this. Whoever this insane dude is, that's going to be the Joker in Gotham. Like that dude's crazy.
Yeah, and he says he even says a psychopath walks into a bar and a clown is there, and he's so disappointing. Like how pathetic. And it's just like that's who Arthur is. Yeah, and it's so sad to me. I just find this whole movie to be like. I just kept like thinking, and I told you guys after the movie I had a little tear on the way home. Just the way that people express and deal with the loneliness and abuse that they face in their life. I just find that so sad, and maybe, obviously dealt with it wrong, but
I think, yes, that is what Joker and Joker Folie are trying to tackle. And I think that is a worthy movie escapade. The thing is, I don't want that movie to be about Joker. You know what I mean? Like I'm a Batman guy. I don't want to go to the movie and see, I want to see Batman throwing some fucking batarangs. I don't want to see.
And now you have to wait for the psychopath to become Joker to see Joker.
Joker
again.
3. Folie à Trois. Final thoughts, y'all. Should we rank it out of 5 stars? Any more thoughts before?
Yeah, I mean, do we have any more thought? I mean, to be honest, I thought the runtime was way too long. It literally could have cut probably 30 minutes.
I wanted to leave. I wanted to walk out of the theater. I was
honestly, if they would have cut all the musical scenes, I would not have cared. To be honest,
You know what I liked was the one where they were on set. I kind of liked that. Where he's like, "Why aren't you singing to me?" I think that, like I said,
Sonny and Cher.
Exactly. Kind of, I think the music should have been reserved for these moments of like Joker needing somewhere to go during hard times, not like Lady Gaga outside of the courtroom smoking a cig, singing about what I don't know. So I did like that. But
can you guys believe the director of the 3 Hangover movies made this movie?
Well, I was thinking about that on the way here, and I was thinking, who better than a comedy director to deal with like how many comedians are depressed? Like that just seems so in line to me that it made sense.
As we know from the first Joker, he is not a comedian. He is his stand-up set is pretty bad.
It goes back to this whole thing. Like, I just have to push back on the point that he was never the Joker, because that's just not what the first movie stated. So, like, you throw out the entire first movie. Really, to me, I think this movie really invalidates so much of what happened in the first movie. And it's only because you could say
all the character development.
You'd have a point if you could say he wasn't the Joker. If it wasn't for the ending scene, which was quintessential Joker, which, as he's in Arkham at the end of Joker, he kills someone and is still trying to escape. That is literally like straight out of comics. Like, that is what Joker does. Like, he's going to try to kill and he's trying to get out of a situation. And then you're telling me, like, in 2 years in Arkham, that all just sort of like went away.
But maybe it's like the things he went through while he was in Arkham and finding the love of his life, who turned out to just be a fan who actually didn't care about him. He gets out of the courthouse, and he gets into a car, and it's not these people who care about him, it's people who want Joker. Yeah. And then he, goes back in, and people only care about the Joker. Maybe it just broke him. I don't know.
Tough watch for me. Won't be seeing it again. Out of 5, I would give this a 2. Two based on acting and production design, and the fact that it was a big swing.
I rated it out of 10, but it's the same score. Yeah, I would have given it a 2 out of 5.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say 2 out of 10. I was
No,
like,
4 out of 10 for me, but
Yeah.
it's really only because of some cinematography aspects and like.
It's a beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
nice.
crazy because it is a great movie on the eyes, but like the stuff that is happening is like, and not in a David Fincher way where it's like a gross, well put together scene. It's just like, I don't want to watch this. I don't know. Where's your ranking out of 5?
I know I had like a more positive view of this. I still give it a 2.5 out of 5, but
wow,
I know,
that shocks me. Honestly, I
Yeah.
thought,
but because I keep kind of rewriting it in my head of like, oh, this is what they were trying to do, and this is the message, so I can see it. I'm giving it a lot of leeway with my own
Also,
thoughts. But
Shreve
2.5.
and I saw it probably a week ago. At this point, maybe.
Nah,
over.
3-4 days ago, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Nikki saw it yesterday, so this is fresh on her brain.
This is
Uh,
my passion to do it last minute.
listen,
Trap was day-
I honestly,
day of.
I it will be on a rewatch list to watch again when it gets on streaming. But like, the more I actually think about this movie, it's kind of the opposite. Like, the more I hate it. Like, honestly, like
it's a graph.
And I'm sorry for anyone if you like it. I understand because it really does feel like more of an art house flick, like much more than the first one ever did. But
see, Joker, I will not rewatch that movie. It was
Really?
Yeah, it was too gritty. It was too hard to watch. Maybe it made me too sad. It takes very little to make me sad and like to make me feel bad for somebody and maybe excuse their behavior for that reason. Not excuse it, but just understand it and just get really sad about it.
She's too much of an impact.
Maybe. But I will rewatch this one just maybe to get over the music thing and to really be like, okay, what's going on here? But yeah.
You would have to sit me down, Clockwork Orange style,
Do you know what I did here? This is
with my eyes open like this to make me watch
this is
again.
one thing I did here where the director was kind of following Martin Scorsese. So first one's Taxi Driver, and I guess then between Taxi Driver and Mean Streets, I think Scorsese did a musical.
Oh, okay.
So he might have been following that kind of thing, and it was a big swing for Scorsese to even do that. So
I will
It might
say,
be that.
like, whatever Todd Phillips makes next, I'll be there. Obviously he's not making another Joker, but he is a good director. I think he has made that statement with Joker and Joker 2. I'll be there for whatever his next film is, but I'd be interested to see, after such a well-received billion-dollar movie and then this flop, what his next step will be, or
I
what his
think
next
this will
decision will be.
become a little cultural.
Cult classic?
I think so.
no, it'll be
I
a
think
cult
it will.
classic for sure.
Joker 2.
Because there are a lot of people who hate the first Joker movie. Like,
Costanza.
So yeah,
Everyone hates it. It's actually good.
yeah.
We'll
I
see.
mean,
Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. Time will tell.
I think this one will have a upswing at some point.
But anyways, let us know your thoughts, comments. Please hit that subscribe button.
Comment the Joker emoji down below.
Yes.
Comment the clown emoji
Yeah.
down below.
Absolutely.
And which one of us is a clown? I don't know.
I'll rate it 2 clown emojis out of 5.
2.5.
Okay.
Rating it.
Let us know what you want to see us talk about next. Obviously, we're the best film reviewers in the business, so just give us some recommendations. We've talked about Gladiator 2. That might be coming up on the pod, so let us know. Thank you for joining.
Quibblers.
See you later,
Out.
Quibblers.